Hello and welcome to my craft room. It's big reveal day for the Inspired by collab. So this time our prompt was Inspired by Halloween. So the Inspired by collab is where I get together with some of my creative friends here on YouTube and on Instagram, and we give ourselves a prompt and we each create something inspired by that prompt. It could be anything, it could be any medium, it could be digital, drawing, sculpture, stitching. We could make a doll, a costume, a cake, a flower arrangement. We could write a poem. Anything goes as long as it's a creative response to the theme of Inspired by Halloween. You can all join in as well if you would like to. You can post pictures of your creations inspired by this theme. Post them on Instagram or on Facebook. You can go to the Arty Farty Annie group on Facebook. I will put links to all the places I mentioned in the description box below. You'll see my little link tree, and if you go there it'll have links to all the places I'm going to mention. And just make sure you use the hashtag Inspired by Art Collab, spelled exactly like that. No capitals, no spaces, no extra, exactly as it says there. Don't leave anything out, don't add anything in. Otherwise we might miss you. I will keep looking until about the middle of October, the 14th of October, and then I will round up all the pieces that myself and the other collaborators have made, and all the pieces that you've shared online as well, and I'll put them all into a video kind of showcasing everything, which will be really fun. So yeah, you've still got a couple of weeks left to join in if you would like to. I will leave links to all of my fellow collaborators in the description box. Please do go and check them out as well. I think I'm expected to see as always, a very creative and varied response to this theme, so it's always very exciting that this day, and I can't wait. The first thing I'll do tomorrow is start looking to see if everybody's posted yet. So yeah, the idea is that I think we announced this on the 1st of September, and the idea is that we will all reveal our pieces on the 30th. Okay, would you like to see what I've made? So this is something I've been wanting to have a go at for a long time. Once I've shown you the finished result here, I'm then going to go into a little collection of clips that I've done through the process of making it, so you can see how it came together if you like. And right at the end I put the finishing touches to it. Then I came back to record this intro. So it's all a bit confusing. Anyway, here we go. So this is my not quite finished piece, because obviously this is a book that I've now got paint and stuff all over, and I want to make a nice cover for it. This was the book that came in a School Box combo kit. I've literally only just finished this, so I want to weight this down overnight to make sure everything's really stuck together. You'll see when I open it up in a minute. And I want to paint something on the cover. I don't know, I've still got some of the booklet. I might use the rest of the book for Arty Fartober, so I'm not quite sure what to call it yet. So that's why I've put it off. It might just end up with a kind of general painty, messy cover. I'm not sure yet, but anyway, this is my little piece, which I'm calling The Haunted Wood. Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin. It won't take long, because there's really only one page. So this is something I've been wanting to try for a long time, which is making a tunnel book, and they can get a lot more complicated than this, but being my first go at it, I wanted to keep it relatively short and simple. But I have done it. I've done most of it in a couple of days. It's not been tremendously time consuming. I could have gone all the way back. I've only actually gone through to sort of not even halfway, third of the way through the book, so I could do a couple more. This is why I need to put some weight on it overnight. Make sure that glues, make sure it all sticks down properly. I could have left the pages separate. I didn't like the look of the backs of them. So I could do another couple of scenes like that, or I could use the rest of this book for my Arty Fartober. Although not all my Arty Fartober pieces are going to be drawings and paintings and things. Some of them are going to be, I'm going to do a bit of crochet, a bit of pyrography, a bit of stitching. I'm going to do all sorts. So I don't know. I've yet to decide about all of that. But here we go. That is my finished piece. I might think about adding some wordage here. I'm not sure. But in the end, I thought I just quite like the look of it just as it is. I'm not going to do anything else. I will try and get some photos of this tomorrow and share to give you a better idea of what it looks like. And if you'd like to see how this came together and what it looked like before I stuck all these pages together, keep watching. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to my past self now and show you sort of how this book all came together. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you will enjoy going and checking out my fellow collaborators' pieces. There's lots of people already joining in. They've posted things in the Inspired By room in the Discord community and in the Facebook group. So do please join in if you'd like to. It's always lovely to see lots of different responses to the theme, and it's just, it never fails to amaze me how you'll get just one prompt and so many different ideas come out of it. So and then tomorrow is the 1st of October, and it's time to start Arty-Fartober. If you'd like to join in with Arty-Fartober, so that is our take on Inktober. The list is amazing. It's been put together by 3 of our Discord community members, so Tori from Cool Kooky Creatures, Claire 96 Bell, and Rachel Brereton. You might know as Rachel Brereton Art, and she's hourly in the Discord community. The 3 of them got together and put a lot of work into putting the list together, and it's one of the best prompt lists I've ever seen. So I'm going to start working on that tomorrow, the 1st, for my version of Inktober. As I say, it's going to be very mixed media. Not just mixed media, it's going to be arts, crafts and all sorts, a little bit of everything that I do, and I'm really hoping I can manage to do every single prompt because they all look amazing. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I will see you again really soon. Bye. This is just going to be a little short section of video today. It's time to start work on my piece for the Inspired By collab. It's the 20th September now while I'm starting, and I think this is going to take me a little while, so I'm going to show you what I've got in mind and my initial stages, and then I will come back and show you the next stage. So let's go to the desk now. So the response is Halloween, and I thought haunted wood would be fun. I've decided I'm going to work in this lovely Sea White. It's a Sea White, I think, Sea White of Brighton sketchbook. It says size for extra wet strength. I will want to be painting on this, so that's important. I might use my Inktense when I come to add colour, but certainly there's going to be wetness involved. It's lovely. I like a square format. The paper's nice and smooth, which I also like. And my idea is I'm not just going to do some paintings in here. You can see how thick this is. There's lots of pages. What I really, really want to do is a tunnel book. And the idea is that I shall have this front page to do my title. I haven't quite decided how I'll do that yet. I might even glue those 2 together. A bit of extra strength. And then I shall put the beginning of my haunted wood here. And I think I'm going to use fine liner pens. And I'm going to add colour either with watercolours or Inktense pencils. Probably Inktense pencils because that way I can take them downstairs and work on it in the evening. I've started working up a sketch here, trying lots of different ways. You can see here I've been experimenting with different kind of marks I can make with the pens to give like the texture of the bark and things like that. And I've just sort of roughly scribbled where my skeletons might go. They'd be between the layers. So this will be the front. Oh, I really need to tidy this desk up, it's disgusting. This will stay as is, but this will be cut into, so I'll have a kind of a framework of trees here, and I'll cut into it. And then I'll have 2 or 3 pages where I've just cut a hole lot to give me a bit of depth. And then I'll paint another bit of the scene, and it'll be coming in so the little hole in the middle will be a little bit less, and then a couple more to give depth in between. And then I'll keep coming down and down and down and down until I come into a hole about this big. And it might be that I still have some pages left at the end, in which case I might even make another little scene, or I might even think I'll write a story or a poem on some of the pages in between. I'm not sure yet. The most important thing at the moment is to get this initial scene done. I need to do that just to make a start, because it feels so big in my head, this project, that I'm kind of putting off starting. So I wanted to come on now just to show you what I've got in my mind. I'm gonna work up a bit of a sketch here tonight, but you can see I've already kind of started roughing it out, and then I'll need to put a cutting mat underneath to cut out the outline. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that now, and then I'll come back and show you the next stage, because I think this is going to be quite a long project. I can't kind of film the whole thing. I'm going to be using these. My Micron pens were all running out a little bit after a lot of inking, and I wanted a good range of sizes, so I went for these because they were cheap. I think we've had this make in the Scrawler box before. Let's take one out. It's Opacity A pigment liner, water-based, water-resistant. They do advise you to make sure it's completely dry before you put any wet media near it, but it should be alright to use watercolours on top of. And there's a good range from 0.05 and 0.1 right through to 0.8 and a brush pen. So I think there's a really good range of thicknesses and marks that I can make. It's interesting, it's also alcohol resistant, so even if I decided to go the alcohol marker route, I'd be alright with this. So that's all I need to tell you for now. By the time I come back and see you again, hopefully I'll have that first page at least inked in, and I'll be ready to colour it and do a bit of cutting out, and hopefully I can come back and show you that tomorrow. It's the next morning. I spent yesterday evening scribbling away in my book, so I've got a bit more to show you. It's quite slow going. I hope I'm going to have enough time to finish this in time for the deadline. I might be kind of almost there and still working on it, I think. So this is where I got to last night, and I'm fairly pleased with it. I like the composition of it. I like that I managed to get these two bits here that look kind of like clawy hands, like witchy hands. I liked making all the different kind of marks and things to get the different textures, and I'm quite looking forward to adding some colour to this. I started to give it some thought about the colour, whether to have a moon kind of shining through here, or would it be just twilight, because of course all of it would change the kind of feel of it and the tonal values and things once I start adding colour. So yeah, I might end up really liking it as a black and white drawing and then not want to risk ruining it with colour. The thing that I'm not so happy about is if you look at here, where I just really spontaneously did this really quite quickly and sort of bravely, I love the texture and feel that I've got there, and here it's just looking a little, it's okay, but you can see it's not quite got that same feeling. I don't know. I've still got to do some more work on it. I mostly was using the 0.2 last night, so I'm going to go in with a bit of a thicker one and make my marks a little bit braver. And I thought, well, I've gone kind of halfway. I'll do some inking with you now, sort of show you how I got to this point. So it's quite easy to do I can do this on the next pages and cut these out anyway. To do the trees, I just literally kind of did this and just branched them off smaller and smaller, and did some little kind of twiglets coming out of the actual trunk as well. I've still got more and more twiglets and things to add as I go along. I tried to keep it really kind of rough, and yeah, so that's kind of that's all I did, was kind of do lines like that. And then when I was inking in, I was trying to hold the pen, not sort of get too sort of control, but trying to hold the pen quite loosely. I just think I've not been brave enough with my line work. I need to get some more contrast in the line work. I need to do some heavier lines and things. So what I'm going to do is just a little snippet of, not the whole thing, because it really was hours doing this, fun hours, but and I'm just going to do just a little bit of that and speed through for you to see kind of how I'm doing it. It was interesting working out things like how to make this sort of this shapes. That was just I did my line for where I wanted my vine or whatever it is to go, and then I just went along it and kind of just added little nodules to it to make it look a bit more interesting. I thought about just putting prickles across it to make it look like brambles, which I could also do, or even doing it like I've done here, kind of almost like a almost ivy-ish looking, I suppose. I wanted to try. I've done some little eyes here. It's maybe a bit too comedy looking. I don't know. I might change my mind about that. And I tried to make this look like there's a face in it, a horrified face in it. Maybe once upon a time this was a person who's had a curse put on them, and they're tied down by these vines. Crow's nest up there. This is going to be the crow. I haven't penned him in yet. Yeah, I'm really enjoying. I found it so absorbing. Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to. But I'm a little bit nervous about the point when I come to add colour and when I cut it out. And I can't at the moment decide which to do first. I've tried to make it, because I know I want this to be like a frame, I'm going to have to cut this. I can't just have it loose like this. It's got to have a framework around it. I tried to make the fingers join up here, so I'll have a piece where it's kind of solid, and so I've got to think about what to do in the background there. I don't think I will do the moon. I think I want my focal point to be this circle here going towards the back. So if I do the moon, it's going to confuse things. So I'll make it kind of twilight and moonlit, as if the moon's there. So it's getting a bit of light. The light's coming in my mind, coming from this direction. I need to darken in the other sides a little bit more than I have already. But yeah, it's fun. So I'm going to go quiet now and do a little bit of inking. One bit I really was pleased with was the bracket fungus here. I quite like the look of that. And they'll be fun to paint in and give me little pops of colour. So I might do some more of them over here as well. So I think, bearing in mind that I'm going to be adding colour as well, I think I've done enough inking there. So the background of this piece, this side, will mostly be taken care of by the tunnel part. This, I need to do an indication of some sort of fainter trees in the background. I think I'm going to sort of pencil those in and indicate them with the paint rather than make them too definite. I'm not sure yet. That's all I'm going to show you now for this little clip. So next time I come back, I think I'll be ready to add colour before I start cutting. Now I am ready to start adding some colour, and I've decided I'm going to go with my Inktense pencils, and I've already picked out a few. I am lucky enough to have a huge selection of these pencils, and I love them, and if you've never used them, I'll show you why. So I've already scribbled out a few of them on here just to try out the colours, because if I show you, let's just pick one at random. So this one's called Madder Brown. There's different ways you can apply these. So if I just scribble them onto the page like that, doesn't look much that colour, but then once you activate them, you can't fully see the colour there because the light's shining off it, but you can see it looks quite different from the colour as it went down. So what I'm going to do this evening, I think, is make myself a little chart up of these so that I can refer to. I could also let's pick another colour just for fun. So this one's called Dusky Purple. If I wanted to, I could just use the brush straight to the pencil like this. You can flick with it, get little flicks of colour, which is quite fun, or just use it like that and paint straight on. Lovely dense purple that gives. Once these are fully activated with water and they've dried, they won't move again. They're not like watercolours. You won't be able to move them or lift them or anything once they've been fully activated. Sometimes people think they do still move. That's only because you haven't fully activated, you haven't wetted all of that pigment. The other thing I can do is pick another colour again. Is they sell special boards for this, but I think they're quite expensive, and I found this cheap one. It was like, I think I got a pack of 4 for $5 or something in my local supermarket, and it's obviously meant as a chopping board, but it's got this textured surface. And what you can do, on this side I've used it for watercolour pencils, and this will actually either reactivate so you can use it again, or you can just wipe it off. Maybe I've used it for Inktense because that's not coming off. Okay, let's use this side then. So what I can do is apply some of the pencil on there. So because of the rough surface of the chopping block, it just takes a little bit of the pigment off like that, and then I can use it to create this little pool of paint there. And obviously I can mix 2 different colours as well. So this, what did I say that colour was? That's iron blue. Say I mixed some, I've got Sicilian yellow there. I can mix the 2 together on my palette and get a green. You can layer it up like with any other paint to deepen the colour. I've only just done a very light scribble there, so I could get that much deeper if I wanted to. I'll clean them up straight away, it's fine. With the watercolour pencils though, I don't worry about cleaning up. I suppose that's what this was. Because then when I wet them again, they'll reactivate and I can still use the pigment. So, but with these, they've been wetted. That's probably not going to go anywhere now. I might give it a little scrub, see if I can get it off, but probably won't. So I thought I'd practice a little bit on this rough sketch. The only thing is, I think with these, using them this way direct to the paper and then activating, it's kind of paper, it's got that texture to it. Sometimes it's hard to activate all of the, it's hard to smooth out the scribble lines. Whereas with this smoother paper, I won't get that so much. And it might be that I use these as a kind of a background layer, and I will still go back in with gouache afterwards, or normal colour pencils go in non-water activated colour pencils and add some details afterwards, but this is just going to be my initial layer. So let's just scribble a few colours out just to show you kind of where I'm going to be going, and then I'm going to take this downstairs and start doing the first layer of colour on this, and I'll come back and show you. I think I'm just going to go for saddle brown. See, I can't remember what colour that comes out now, which is why it's worth me doing just a little swatch before I get started properly. I could do like that. I'm going to be very mindful that tree trunks aren't really brown. I mean, there are brown bits, but you know, you also get green and red and yellow and grey and all kinds of colours. Yeah, it's going to be quite nice, and I can let it dry and then put another layer over. And it might be that once I'm done with adding the colour, I'll want to go back in with my fine liner pens and add more. I think I might want some more sort of definite twigs in between, more like I've done here. I've just decided I want to start getting some colour on there now. So let's just tell you the colours that I've got. You definitely don't need as many colours, but it's lovely to have the range, so I might as well use them. My friend Zoe Artist here on YouTube recently won from Scrawlerbox, from the Scrawlerbox kind of monthly giveaway, and they got together with Derwent and offered this amazing prize, and it was the entire set, the entire range of Inktense pencils and lots of other bits and bobs with them. Like, I think she probably got one of their proper palettes like this. Yeah, amazing. Oh, she's going to do some amazing things with those. Okay, let's go through these colours that I've got here. So this one's called Bark. Funny enough. Couldn't pass that one by. Baked Earth. Mid Vermilion. Dusky Purple, we had just now. Madder Brown. Neutral Grey, that's quite a pretty grey actually. Sicilian Yellow. Whoops. Payne's Grey, I love Payne's Grey. Beach Green, haven't got a lot in the way of green because this is mostly going to be a fairly dead looking wood. Leaf Green. Sepia Ink. So I'm thinking that if I mix the purples with the greens, that's going to give me a kind of a nice neutral shadowy kind of colour. Chili Red, I'm thinking of my toadstools. Willow. Ink Black. Charcoal Grey. Saddle Brown. Indian Ink. I think I've got an Indian ink and a Chinese ink. I don't even know what the difference is at the moment. Dark Chocolate. Mustard. I'm thinking of my bracket fungus here with these. Iron Blue, that'll be part of the... And Deep Indigo, that'll help to get that kind of twilight sky, I'm hoping. Antique White, I can make other colours more opaque with that. Thistle's another purpley colour, obviously. Chinese Ink, I think I might have already had that one. And Oak, have I already had that one? That is a lot of colours. I'm not even sure I'll use them all, but it's nice to have the variety. So I'm going to go downstairs, I'm going to sharpen them all, I'm going to swatch my colours, and I'm going to start adding some colour to this. And then I'll come back and show you when I've added my first kind of layer of colour. It's the next day again, and this is where I got to yesterday evening. Obviously it is, you know, that this was sort of 3 hours work. I'm not a quick worker. I take a long time over things. I don't want to really enjoy doing it. I'm hoping I've still got time to have a sort of semi-finished project ready for the deadline. What I'm finding is, which is really nice, what I was hoping, exactly as I was hoping, is that because this paper is so lovely and smooth, I don't really need to, I did use the palette, as you can see. I don't really need to. I can actually, it works really well to just scribble straight on here and activate it all with water, because it hasn't got that texture that's making it difficult to make the scribbles disappear that I was talking about before. I think this is going to be a layering process. On the left hand side here, I don't think you're even going to make out the pencil lines very well because of the lighting situation. I've just very roughly sketched in some tree trunk shapes, and I will carry this sort of twilight colour sky across the sort of top there. This will all be quite dark and dim in here, with the trees as they go back getting darker and kind of duller, and the lighter and brighter colours here towards the front, because I want it to look like you're outside the haunted wood looking into this kind of tunnel thing and wondering whether to go in. Haven't decided yet whether at the end I'll have light at the end of the tunnel or the darkest dark, or maybe some sort of I don't know. I haven't decided about that. I'll decide that as I go along. So I do think this is going to be a layering process. I will probably want to go in and add more contrast, and I certainly want to make parts of the sky darker, and then I'll want to make other parts of the tree darker, and then I'm very likely to want to go in with coloured pencils to do final details, and possibly, you know, a white gouache or a white pen or something to add some highlights back in and things. It's really, I've just did exactly what I showed you earlier on. I've just scribbled on with, I've used all the different colours together and concentrated the sort of lighter, brighter ones. I'm still imagining the light sort of coming from the front and slightly to the right. So I've put a bit lighter and brighter colours, and I will do the same here. I'm quite happy. I'm sort of happy with it, but it's weird. I still feel like that initial sketch that I did is somehow, it's because it's braver and sketchier and more artsy and less sort of controlled looking. But, you know, this is just how I am. I can't seem to... It makes me think I'd like to do some more studies of trees like this and try and get more towards this sort of look, because I really love the look of that. And I'm going to stop myself. My tendency is always then to throw these working sketches away, but I'm going to start keeping these in a folder. I'm going to make myself a folder and start keeping them to look back at and kind of inspire myself to have another go. I'm quite pleased with my crow there. He looks a bit glum. Definitely not very welcoming. I kind of feel like I want another one now. I quite like how he turned out. He perhaps needs some details, but I'll leave him like that for the time being. And I think the owl's going to get orange eyes in a minute. But anyway, I need to carry on working on this. I just wanted to show you kind of this, you know, where I'm at this stage. All of that white area there is going to be cut out to reveal more layers behind. I'm a little bit worried that I'm going to wish I had more tree trunks in behind here. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so yeah, that's all. I just wanted to come back and quickly show you that, and I'm going to carry on and listen to a bit of audiobook and carry on painting. I'm really enjoying this. It's almost like I've made myself a colouring in book. See you for the next thrilling instalment. Just decided it was probably worth just showing you what I mean, because it's not tricky to do now. I've worked it out. So I'm taking the lighter colours. I've looked at my like swatch thing that I've done, which has been absolutely invaluable, well worth taking the time to do that, and I've picked out the kind of lighter, warmer, brighter colours that I want to use for the tree trunk. I'm going in with them first. So I've got Sicilian yellow, mustard, willow and saddle brown. Saddle brown's probably the darkest, maybe the mustard, and I'm just doing them, I'm concentrating them on the sort of right hand side of this tree. Just odd patches here and there elsewhere. So the right hand side of each of the branches will kind of catch the light. This one not so much because it's behind. Willow is also comes out quite light, but more but less yellow. And I'm not thinking about it too hard actually. I'm being fairly random. And on this one I've got the vine kind of things going around as well, so I need to put those in a minute. Some of this saddle brown. Now I'm just sort of heading towards the left hand side, so it'll be starting to get a little bit darker, and as I said, I might I almost certainly will want to layer up and either do another layer of these or use normal colour pencils over the top. The darker colours, bark, sepia ink, dark chocolate and perhaps a bit of Indian ink I'll use now. The colours I use for the sky were the Payne's Grey, Deep Indigo and Iron Blue. Just sort of ended up mixing them all, but I will go back in again and just go into the dark crevices and darken them all up. So I've got Indian ink because I want that to go in the really dark parts of the tree and like inside the hollow. Chinese ink, Indian inks and sepia ink. Okay, so let's go in with some dark chocolate into the sort of crevices of the hollow of this tree and the very left hand side where it's not catching the light so much. Indian ink in there as well. I'll maybe just put a bit of yellow where it's sort of tried to make it look sort of like eyes. I think when you look at a tree trunk, they're very rarely just one uniform colour. There's usually quite a lot of colour in them if you really look. And I think one of the things about this is going to be that as I darken the background, I will probably then want to go back in and darken the trunks a bit more. In a way, it's a shame I haven't got the excuse to use lots of shades of green as well, so I think it look really pretty, but I want it to look a bit sort of dead and wintry, this So then it's really easy now. It's like one of those magic painting books. I've already put all the colour on. I've just got to activate it. I think later on I might do a bit of splattering and stuff as well to add a bit of fun and kind of atmosphere to it. And the colours just kind of blend together as you wet them, which I really like. The darkness sort of adds a bit more drama there, you know. Hopefully you can see that. Sorry about the lighting thing. This is such a quick little bit of film, it's not worth me shutting out the sunshine for. So because this is just this is really just the first layer, well I suppose second layer if you count the ink as the first one. I actually feel quite chilled about this because it's just the start. Do you see how easy that is to do? And I have to say this Sea White of Brighton paper is holding up so well. I found it crumpled up a little bit as I was doing it last night, but I just left the book closed overnight and that flattened it out, so that's marvellous. Yeah, I probably want to darken the left hand side of these trees a little more. Definitely could do this with a lot less colours than I'm using here for sure. I've gone a bit nuts, but you know, I kind of feel like I've got them, so I should use them. One of the other nice things that I like about Inktense pencils is that you can buy a big set. I waited until I saw a big set at a good price in the sales, and then when you find that there are certain colours that you use a lot, and when they run out, you can just replace single pencils. They sell them. What do they call it when they sell them loose? Open stock, which is brilliant. Because there are definitely some that I use a lot and some that I use hardly at all, and some that are quite similar to each other really as well. There you go. So that's the beginning of that tree, which hopefully you can see enough in this hideous lighting situation. I just thought it was worth coming back and just showing you how I was going to do that. I'm going to carry on working through now, and next time you see this, hopefully that background will have a whole layer of colour, and I will have cut out this first hole. I shall just use a little scalpel, a little craft knife. Sometimes I quite favour these little finger knives. You can replace the blade. It's just a normal craft knife blade, but they're quite handy to hold. Right, I've done quite a bit more work on this, but I've still got a long way to go. I think there's too much contrast between how warm these colours are here and how cool these are here, so I need to have another layer with it slightly warmer and more detailed, and then a suggestion of more trees further back that are cooler with less detail. And I want to darken up some of the shadows and things, and then I want to add more detail with coloured pencils and stuff. But I'm looking at it's the 25th of September now. I'm starting to run out of time. I really need to crack on with this. So I thought what I'm going to do is just film a little bit of just cutting out this one so you can see where I'm going with it, and then the next time you see me, hopefully we have not finished the project. I'll have at least got it to a point where it's fit to show on the 30th for big reveal day. So I have put a brand new blade in my little finger knife here, and I'm going to just cut round. So I've tried to make it so that there is a solid cutting line there. Obviously these finger shapes I'm going to have to cut out separately, and I've realised that because there's going to be an indication of trees in behind here and behind, you know, going back and back and back, I need some indication of trunks going into the distance here, the same as I've got there. So I'm going to have to add those in too. I don't know, I might do that at the last minute, because if I can get away with not doing it I will, because I quite like the look of the bird against that twilight sky. But we'll see. Okay, so I'm just going to cut these. I'm going to have to keep turning it. I've put a cutting mat. I couldn't find one of my dinky ones. I put this huge great cutting mat here so that I don't cut into the surface below. And I might find that if I get a kind of white edge of paper like you can see there, I will want to paint over that or pencil over that, because that'll annoy me. I just know it well. Or I'll just get a little applicator and use distress ink on the edge, or pigment ink or something, just to hide that kind of white paper. It's cutting out nice and easily. I'm very impressed with the paper in this sea white book, because it's not that thick, so it's not being too difficult to cut through, but it's really sturdy. It stood up to all the water that I've used on it so far. It's flattening out nicely, and it's smooth, so that it makes it easier for me to use my Inktense on. And also for the pen work, I don't like doing fine liner work over the kind of texture that you get in hot press watercolour paper, you know, that kind of, I like a smooth paper. For some reason it seems to be so much harder to find hot pressed watercolour paper in art shops. I guess it's because most people prefer the texture, and maybe if you're a proper watercolourist, which I'm not, then the texture is something you want, but for the way I use it, it's not. Okay, and I might need to do a little bit of extra trimming with these with a little pair of scissors. I might just, in some of these cases, I'll just go around it like that, just to get the main part of the shape out, and then I can use my little tiny scissors to cut the rest of it. Yeah, that would make sense. It's definitely worth putting that new blade in. See that, I've got a sort of white bit on the end there. That's fine. I'll just extend that and make all of that brown now. Yeah, and I'll go around the rest of this with scissors. I think a couple of pages will just have a big kind of circle cut out of them to give it a bit more depth, and then perhaps on the third page I will then sketch in the next layer of trees. You can kind of see where that's going. I'm really hoping I'm going to get this ready in time for or at least the first couple of layers done in time for the big reveal, because I can always carry on working on it. I've cut a hole out here, leaving a sort of border all around, just to give me a bit of thickness behind this first cut out part. And I've done that 3 times. So I cut out one, I drew around it, did another and another. And then I decided that was enough, so I've drawn around once, but I'm going to leave that there because that'll help me to know where to place my next layer of tree trunks and things. So then I thought, right, I need to just lose these white edges, because I don't want to see the white edges, and you can just see a little bit of white edge picking out here, a little bit there. So what I've done is I put a sheet of coffee paper behind, and I'm just using Distress ink, which funny enough is called Gathered Twigs, appropriately. I might go in with black later on as well, and I'm just using this to, you can see where, because it's left a shadow, I'm just using this to just get rid of any white edges that I can see around here. A little bit there. Now this ink is water soluble, so if I wanted to I could then blend this out a bit or whatever. This is going into the sky a little bit there, but I don't mind that. I think that's good. I think it kind of adds to it. And I will probably use either this one, or I'll get a darker ink out and perhaps ink some of these edges when I'm done as well. And then I'm doing the same here, so where these edges, I'm not going to bother going all the way around because most of this won't show, but where I could see they're a little bit showing, I'm just inking them up. The backs won't show because by the time it's all glued together in the end they won't show. Another thing that I thought I would do, because of course now I've got these pieces cut out which I've saved because I can use them. I can make little card toppers with them. I can stamp on them. It's nice and smooth, so it worked well for stamping, and this paper will take whatever I want to colour with, so those won't be thrown away. But I did think I'd use a little bit of them to just where I've got this bit of grass here and it's kind of curled up a little bit. It's quite fragile. I can add another little piece behind it. So the idea is that you can see here, probably that's the easiest bit to see it. Once I've got those layers all glued down, you can see that's just raising it up. You can see by the shadow, it's just raising it up a little bit off the layer behind. So the idea is to glue these 3 layers together. I'll just use Pritt Stick probably, and then glue this one over the top. and then eventually, once this one's all painted and cut out, I'll glue that one down as well. But in between these layers, there's no reason why I can't add in little snippets of extra pieces. So my next layer will be here, but just in front of that layer could be another layer with some extra grass and foliage, and that will help to support this a little bit. I could even slightly just put a tiny dot of glue down, just hold them down and just give them a little bit more stability. One thing, I've just thought of a couple of these little basic kind of construction things that I thought would be worth quickly showing you that I might be using in the book. So this is very roughly done, but this is what I call it, a paper spring. I used to call it, for some reason we used to call it a cat staircase when I was a kid, but I would cut this much thinner and more carefully. I would glue these two ends together at right angles. In fact, I might as well just quickly glue that because it'll make it easier for me. And then fold them one over the other at right, keeping the right angle. Like that. I just keep folding one over the other, over the other, over the other. It's very quick and easy to do, and you just use any little scraps of paper. I quite often will do this on cards if I'm trying to build up dimension, and because it's done like it is, it's because it's like a little spring, you get a little bit of movement in it. So once you've finished, or you've got it as long as you want, you just add another little bit of glue, trim off the ends. This is a very rough one. And you've got this little kind of springy thing which has got just a little bit of movement in, and it might be that what I end up doing is making a really, I'd cut the strips much thinner, but I could put something like that behind here to just hold that piece, because obviously this is going to stand out in front of all the other layers. I think what I need to do is be patient and not glue the layers together until I've finished all of them, because I might want to slip other bits and pieces in. The other thing I can do, when you think that there's all of this depth here, I will end up with quite a lot of clearance. I'll end up with, well, how deep is that? About an inch, a couple of centimetres. Potentially I could string a piece of thread between the layers part way through and have something suspended here, perhaps my little skeletons or something. So all of that is still I've literally only got a day. I just want to get this to a point where I've got something for my big reveal tomorrow that you will have seen at the beginning of this video. I just wanted to come back and show you that kind of basic construction part, and at the moment it's going to be no more complicated than that. I could end up adding some little slide out tabs and things as well. All kinds of things could end up happening with this book, but this is where I'm at for the moment. Hello and welcome back to my craft room. My tunnel book is all ready to kind of do the final step, really, which is to stick the pages together, but I just wanted to show you what they look like first. It didn't take as long as I thought it would, and I think I could have made it more complicated, but in the end I've kept it simpler than I could have done. Anyway, let's show you where I'm at. I'm so pleased with this. I'm going to record this as the end of the video, and then I'm going to record the beginning of the video afterwards. So I'm going to completely confuse myself, but because at the beginning of the video I want to show you the finished result. Here we go. So I'm hoping the camera will pick up the depth of that. Yeah, it's not bad actually. Another thing that I love about using the ink tints is that they stay kind of matte. You don't get that shine off them, but where I've gone back in and added details with coloured pencil, if I just catch it in the light there, you can see where that is. There's just a shine. So I kind of wish I'd stuck with ink tints now, but I love this effect here. I'm really enjoying that, and definitely will have another go at this. And in fact, I've only gone part way through the book, so I could definitely do another one. We'll do some other things in the back. I thought about moving, tabs that you pull, and because you can do like a backwards tab, so when you pull this way, something appears that way. There is quite an easy mechanism that you can do for that. I will show that. I'm going to do that in a card coming up soon, or maybe in my interactive scrapbook. So I thought about that, but in the end I was just enjoying the look of this just as it was, and I didn't want to add any more bits to it. I just quite like it like that. So let's have a quick look through. So this was the first page. Then I put 3 between each layer. I ended up putting 3 pages like this, where there's just a big hole cut out larger than the scene. And then between some of these layers I ended up doing these little extra clumps of grass going sort of between the layers. And you could put all sorts of things coming out between the layers, and I could definitely have cut slots between the layers to facilitate little moving parts. So I will experiment with that. I needed to get this done, and I needed to keep it simple enough so that I could actually finish it, because this is my very first go at a tunnel book, so let's not get over ambitious. And there's the next kind of full page. I don't know why I bothered adding paint all around here, because you won't see it. I'm going to glue all this together now. If they just look like that, I'd probably leave them, but because you've got these pages in between which don't look so pretty, and you've got the back which don't look so pretty, so I think I am going to glue it all together. There we go. Then we've got the 3 pages again, some little tufts of grass. And then you can see the hole starts to come in quite a bit smaller now. It's a bit like a nest, doesn't it? I couldn't decide if I wanted to put a moon at the back or some stars at the back, or make like a bright light at the back. But in the end I just went really dark at the back, and I just had to make myself stop. Let's have my 3 blank pages again. 3 blanks, and this time I've put not a tuft of grass, but I put a little branch on one of those. So the hole's getting quite small now. 3 pages again, and a branch. It's not even trunk shapes anymore, it's just a circle now. Oops, that's that. Last little bit. There we go, and that's the last page. So I've still got all of that left. Surprising. I could do 2 more like that. Or I could just use the rest of this sketchbook perhaps for Arty-Fartober. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to use a Pritt stick. I think I'm going to go. I'm hoping this will work rather than wet glue, because I don't want anything buckling and stuff now. So I'm not going to put glue all over this, because otherwise it'll stick to it. I'm just going to put glue on these. I'm hoping this is going to be enough. And then if I close the book up and put something heavy on it overnight, that will help as well. Okay, I'm going to speed this bit through for you now, or just jump straight to the end, because I think this video will have probably worked out quite long enough, and then I shall record the first part of the video where I will show the finished result. Everything's back to front and I'm completely confused. So with this, I'm not gluing all around there, I'm just going to glue this part here. I'm going to say my goodbyes now. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that. Do remember that there's still time for you to join in with Inspired by Halloween if you would like to. All you have to do is share pictures of your creations in the Arty Farty Annie Facebook group, or on Instagram. Make sure you use the hashtag Inspired by Art Collab. Don't forget to use that, otherwise we might not find you. Or there's a special Inspired by room in the Discord community. I will put my link tree in the description box, and you can find all of those places there. And I will keep looking until the middle of the month, until the 14th of October. I will round up all of the pieces and do a kind of a video showcasing all the pieces that myself and the other collaborators have made, and all the pieces that you've made as well. And that's always nice to see. There's always such an interesting mixture of different takes on the prompter, so it's always really fun to see. Okay, so I'm going to say my goodbye now, finish gluing this, and then record the beginning. I'll see you in a minute, or a little while ago. Thanks very much for joining me, and I'll see you again really soon.